to the Fastballs Sports Network. This is a very special day here at the Fastball Sports Network because it's the first day here at the Fastball Sports Network. So, my name is Frank. I am flanked by my partners today, Chris and Mark. And
hello.
Hi.
They are obviously very excited to get started. So, what the Fastball Sports Network is it's going to be a combination of a podcast and a YouTube channel, at least for now. And what we plan on doing is updating you on everything that is sports in terms of actual sports and both sports gaming. What I mean by sports gaming is I mean sports in real life that have been turned into games, like NBA 2K, like NHL, like MLB The Show, especially MLB The Show, and others quite like that. We might even possibly throw in some Fortnite, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we're really excited about this because we were sitting there talking, me, Frank, Chris, our friend Dan, and we play all these video games, we discuss all these sports all day, every day, and we're like, we have some content, we have some ideas we could put out there and provide to everyone. So we're pretty excited. We're going to give this thing a shot, and we hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
So I'm really excited because today's show is going to be about the NBA. So what we're going to be going over today is kind of split up into three different segments. So we're going to be talking about teams outside of the playoffs, what they maybe can hold on to from this season that obviously hasn't gone so well for them. Teams that are on the bubble, they possibly could be a few games out, or they could be a few games up on the playoff race, but maybe not expected to win the whole thing. Maybe they got off to a slow start, and we might talk about that. And then, of course, your top teams and the top players and what they're going to have to offer come late April, May, and June. So, like I said, guys, I think it's good to start out of the playoffs so we have something to build up to.
Sure.
Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. So the first team I want to start with is one that if you told me last year at this time we'd be talking about them as a team out of the playoffs, I would have told you you're a liar. And that's the Golden State Warriors, okay? So I guess my first question that I have for you guys is, for the Warriors, I mean, this is a one-time thing, right? They're not going to be out of the playoffs for more than this year.
Yeah, for sure. When Kevin Durant left, everyone was like, they're still going to make the playoffs, but they're going to fall down a little bit. They're not going to be the 1 seed, they're not going to be the 2 seed, but they'll probably be a 3 or a 4 around there. Obviously, injuries dismantled their roster with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Now, what are they at now? What's their record looking like?
Yeah, actually, the worst record in the NBA right now.
12 and 44.
12 wins, yep.
12 and 44.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making it, obviously, this year, and if anything, it's a good year. It helps them out because they get to rest all their guys. Klay gets a year off. Draymond, I mean, he's been playing, but he's not really playing every night, and he gets little breaks. Steph's been out pretty much all year. He's coming back, I think, March 1st, they said. But they're going to probably get the number 1 pick because they're going to finish a lot worse than everyone else. They'll probably get someone like James Wiseman or something. And then they could pair him with these new role pieces that they found to replace the Livingstons and Iguodalas. They got Damian Lee now who could help out next year. And they got Eric Pascal who's going to help them out. And they found some new guys.
And that's a great point what you said about them being able to rest their really big stars. Obviously, Klay being out the entire year. And you don't worry about the Warriors superstars. They're not old enough for you to be concerned that an injury will take them out and they won't be able to, necessarily come back and return to their form. Like, we think when Steph Curry gets back May 1st, he's going to be swishing threes. They probably won't even play him that much, right?
No, March 1st. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
He's coming back. He'll probably be on a limit. I don't think he's going to play that much. There's really no point just to get his foot back.
I was going to say, get his feet wet, get back into it, get into a groove so he's ready to go for next season. I was pretty surprised when they traded D'Angelo Russell for Andrew Wiggins and the picks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Russell was never a fit, so I feel like he was going to get traded regardless. But, yeah, I mean, Wiggins is interesting.
I was reading they wanted to at least see him and Curry together before they made this decision, but it never really came into fruition.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they really wanted Wiggins, and it worked out that way, so might as well pull the trigger.
Also, if they decide to not move forward with Wiggins, I'm not sure what his contract status is, but I know that he's not there for the long term, or at least he's not locked up for the long term, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
If they do decide to move on from Wiggins, they have that money to now go out and spend on another big name. Not that Wiggins maybe necessarily is the biggest name, but he's definitely a quality player in the NBA. So if they were to move on from Wiggins, they'd be able to go out and maybe even lure in Giannis in, it's not this summer, but it's next summer. And you can't tell me that Giannis isn't sitting there going, wow, I can drive the lane, I can dish it to Clay and Steph, probably the two greatest shooters of all time.
That'd be ridiculous.
So, I mean, listen.
Play defense with Draymond.
I don't think
I'd ruin his career arc, though. I don't know.
I was going to say, I don't think any one of us want to see it happen, right?
What if he wins with the Bucks, though? Then he goes.
Still, I mean,
People would call him a sellout.
well, he's
but at
not
least-
winning with the Bucks. The Bucks aren't winning the title.
Ooh.
I'll put my name to that now.
We
They're
will
not
get
winning the
we
title.
will get to that later. But
Jumping the gun.
I love the aggressiveness.
That's not
I love the
fair.
aggressiveness of that
The
statement.
Bucks
because-
will not. Well, I'll shave my head if the Bucks win the title.
Really?
Yeah,
You're-
they're not winning.
You're that adamant about it?
Yeah.
So for those of you who can't see us right now, Chris has a gorgeous mohawk on top of his head. So
I'm a
when
hair
he-
guy.
When he says he's going to shave his head if the Bucks win the NBA championship, that is a big time guarantee.
The
But we're-
48-8 Bucks have no chance of winning.
No, they have no chance. No,
All right.
none at all.
we are
We'll do it later.
we are jumping way ahead, but listen, that's what you're going to get on the Fastball Sport Networks, these great debates. All right, so we're going to move on to our next team. So we jump from the Warriors to the team that they traded D'Angelo Russell to, the Timberwolves. Do we see any bright spots in the Timberwolves going forward? I think we all are going to be in consensus agreement that the answer is yes, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to say.
I like Russell and Towns, and I like Malik Beasley a lot. I mean, I love Florida State. That's why I like Malik Beasley. But he's actually pretty good. He played good for the Nuggets. He was a good role guy, and now he's going to step into a starting job. And, I mean, they have pieces. They got Russell and Towns now. They got Jared Culver, who they took with the 6th pick last year. They got Josh Okogie, who's also a first-round pick, great defender. And they got Naz Reid from LSU. He's nice, too. He's going to be a good big man in this league.
They're building talent. They're building a culture, like you touched on. It's good to have the duo. Obviously, everyone's really excited about that. It can bring free agents in. They have money to spend now. It's really just the two of them. They traded Covington. They traded Wiggins. It's a pretty much brand new roster when you're looking at it. A lot of young guys, hungry guys, and athletic guys.
Yeah, and it really can't get any worse. Everything they tried didn't work.
This is a lost year, yeah.
Jimmy Butler didn't work. The Wiggins and Towns thing wasn't working. So, I mean, why not? Might as well give it a go. D'Angelo Russell's been good. He's been on a lot of teams, but he's been good.
So that's a really good point, Chris. You actually bring me up to my next question for you guys about the Timberwolves, and that's they've had something similar to D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns before, right? It was Wiggins and Towns, and then it was Wiggins and Butler and Towns, and before that they had Zach LaVine with Wiggins and Towns, and we know that.
T was
listen,
there too.
well, Chicago's not a great team at all. We do know that Zach LaVine he can play. So
yeah, he can play,
mean,
but I feel like they have more talent around them too now, though. Like, I like how they got Malik Beasley. I like Culver. I like Naz Reid. I like all these guys, and I think it could work out. But, I mean, the West isn't as tough as it used to be, but I don't know. I mean, it's either, if this doesn't work out, they might have to trade Towns soon. So
that's a really good point. Does anybody else have anything to add on the Timberwolves?
It's a lost season, but they are positioned well for the future.
Okay. So that, actually, the Timberwolves are actually a great transition into our next team because we have been hearing the rumors that the Timberwolves have already started to speak to the Suns about a trade that could send Devin Booker over to the Timberwolves and get that three together that we know have wanted to play together for so long. That three would be Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell. Is that something you guys would want to see? Is that a team that you guys think that you could get behind and root for?
That'd be a sick three when you think about it. They're really good friends, right? That's the whole thing. Like in college, they were together. They're all really good friends.
Russell wasn't with them. They were the same draft class. No, they weren't. Or were they the same draft class? Yeah, I think they were the same draft class because that was that Kentucky team that went undefeated and lost to Wisconsin with Towns and Booker. But yeah, I mean, I guess why not? Why not add another team? I mean, what's Booker doing on the Suns? The Suns haven't been good, and the last time the Suns were good. Steve Nash is running the point. I mean, they might as well.
Do the Timberwolves have the assets to get Devin Booker? Is that a reasonable?
Yeah, they have some assets. They got assets.
That is a really good point. You got to think that.
Well, listen, they have Culver, who's the 6th pick. They're going to have another top
Are these
pick.
players enough that you're saying that they seem more like?
Yeah, they are.
I'm not,
They're going to
calling
have
them role players.
They're going to
but
have the second, probably the top. They're going to have a top 3 pick this year too.
So you think that'll be the main piece, and then a couple of these other guys.
Well,
here?
listen,
Well,
Booker
Jared Culver
can't
was
be
just
happy,
took
right?
6.
Booker can't be happy in Phoenix. He's, to some, not getting the respect he deserved by being an all-star
Yeah, he wants to get the hell out of
reserve.
there.
You think so?
Do you
Definitely?
think
Why
that
would he want to stay?
Well, that's a really good point.
I don't know. They have Ayton. They have Kelly Oubre. They're kind of like building their own culture. It seems where like they're getting better. Rubio's been a good leader for them, and not winning games. It's not translating yet, but they're young. Ayton missed the beginning of the season. I don't know. I see some good things there.
So, to the point of Devin Booker, he's got to be scratching his head, kind of wondering what else he can do. And like you said, Chris, it just hasn't related to winning at all for the Phoenix Suns. It seems like they have a young core in terms of Ayton, Oubre, and Booker, but they're clearly having trouble putting it together. I know I know DeAndre Ayton missed a bunch of games in the beginning because of the PED suspension.
Yeah.
Or
25 games.
Was it a PED suspension or was it substance? So
No.
a PED suspension. And, it's got to be troubling for a guy like Booker, who's now been in the league for, he's probably going on his 5th season, right? 4th or 5th
Is
season.
that right?
It's
probably around there.
been a while now,
Was it
right?
22?
Yeah, I would say probably his 4th year.
I think it's going to be his 4th. I think this is going to be wrapping up his 4th season now.
That's crazy.
So, that's
4th.
losing, going into every season, knowing you don't really have a chance to make the playoffs every year for 4 straight seasons. That's tough. Obviously, the Suns would probably be willing to throw a bunch of money at him, but something tells me for a guy like Booker that money might not be all of the.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I guess I could see him wanting to stay and build there, but if he's a chance to play with those other two, I feel like he would want to do it. It's a long way away, though.
Yeah. That's going to be really interesting to see how that scenario plays out. And like Mark said, what position does that put the Timberwolves in? They're going to have the 3 of them if they do wind up making that trade, but what will they have left in terms of depth around them? So those are going to be really good points.
You got to ask also, would the 3 of them beat LeBron's Lakers? Would the 3 of them beat the revamped Warriors for next season? I don't know.
I doubt it, but I mean, they'd be good.
Yeah,
they haven't been good. None of these guys have played on good teams in forever.
And I think that's going to be one of the things that we go over when we get to the bubble teams and even some of those competing teams that maybe we don't feel have all what it takes. Is it better to be very bad until you find the next Giannis, next LeBron, next Anthony Davis? And sometimes, look at New Orleans, the Anthony Davis doesn't work out. Or is it better to compete, and you know deep down that a lot of things would have to go right?
Well, look at Toronto.
Well, that was the example that I was ready to bring up. The Toronto Raptors, right? It was the perfect storm. They got Kawhi Leonard. All of the Warriors were hurt. And
they won a title.
They won a title. And listen, I think if you ask me, if my team could have something like the Raptors and maybe knowing that they're not going to win again, although the Raptors have been playing well, we will get to it, I would take the 1 ring at this point. They're not easy to come by unless, of course, you have a LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he doesn't even have a ring yet, but type player. So
if I'm a fan of the team, I prefer them trying to put a winning product on the field, even knowing you're not going to win the whole thing, just for the sense of just watching the games, the enjoyment of the season. But it's a legitimate question.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather have a good team than just like a team like. I know the NBA is tough though, because I mean it's pretty much dominated by wherever LeBron goes and the Warriors lately.
There's so many teams that are tanking.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know. Because what are they tanking for? Like, what the tanking really hasn't worked for anyone yet. Who's it worked for, the tanking? I can't give an example.
I think a lot of people would be quick to argue the 76ers, but
the
I would
76ers
say that
haven't
that's
even played in
not
the conference finals.
It's not a successful tank
they're in the
quite
East.
yet. And they're in the Eastern Conference. They're in a weak Eastern Conference.
Would you say the Cavs when they traded Wiggins for Kevin Love, and that was kind of the last piece that LeBron needed?
They got LeBron. LeBron's the great equalizer there. I don't think you could really say anything about that. They were terrible. LeBron came. They were terrible when he left.
I guess to Mark's point, though, I guess that's a good point. But I guess they did put themselves in position with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen if LeBron doesn't come. So
right,
none of
but
that
I guess,
matters.
but a big part of
he was like the final piece.
A big part of building a team in the current sports, not just the NBA, in current sports, is getting that free agent. You know, a lot of times, listen, the Warriors were a great team with Klay, Steph, and Draymond. They won 73 games that season, but there was a sense that they would never be, like, comfortably, for sure, a dynasty if Kevin Durant doesn't go over there and win 2 more rings with them, right? So that team is great, but without the free agent, Kevin Durant, that team is not a guaranteed to have any of those rings, right? You said it yourself, LeBron James could have ran through them, right? And LeBron James isn't a franchise, but he basically is in the NBA. Because whoever has him has with the exception of last year's Lakers, who he was hurt for half the season or whatever. If you've had LeBron James, you've been in the conference finals. And I don't think it'll be any different this season, but we'll get to that. Does anyone have anything else they want to say on the Suns, Devin Booker, Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, what we just talked about, because we just kind of blurred a lot in there?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Anytime talking about the Suns is a waste of time.
So, if that's the case, we're going to move on to the Sacramento Kings. Now, I know Chris is laughing at me. We're going to talk about the Sacramento Kings. I actually think the Sacramento
Who's running
Kings,
this show?
I actually think the Sacramento Kings have something to build off of. Do I think that they're going to turn into a championship caliber team? Not in the slightest.
No, I like the Kings, actually.
But I actually like some of the players that they have because, you know what? They're building through shooters, right?
It's so sad because it just feels like half of these teams will never have a chance of winning. Legitimately.
It's a really fair point.
Like, even looking at, oh, they have De'Aaron Fox and all these young, fun guys. It's like, will they ever win? Probably not.
Right.
But continue.
I like the Kings because they're building the current NBA, right? For those of you that don't know, I am a huge Knicks fan, okay? And the Knicks continue to go after these athletic, long wings, a la Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, and they refuse to pick players that can hit the three ball. And I'm sorry, but today's NBA is about hitting the three ball, right? Look at Trae Young. He's 6'2". Does he look like he should be playing in this league? No, but he can shoot better than every other player in the league except for Steph Curry and maybe Damian Lillard and maybe Devin Booker when he's hot. And look what is happening in Atlanta. You can tell that that team is on the rise. So do we think that there's something that the Kings can build off of? Or I should say, do you guys agree with me in saying that there's something that the Kings can build off of?
I like Hield and Fox a lot, but I mean, like, I don't know. What's their ceiling?
How's Bagley?
He's been out, right?
He's been hurt a lot, yeah.
He's like an old school big. So
Do they still have Harrison Barnes?
Yeah, they have Harrison Barnes.
Does Harrison Barnes matter? In
I mean,
the
like,
landscape of today's NBA?
Not really, but he's like a competent player.
It's a piece.
I think this
understand what
year
you're
should
saying.
have been. Well, I guess Bagley was out, but I mean, this year should have been their big year because last year they kind of made strides, and then this year they're kind of.
I like,
didn't really
I like
build off
Bielisa. Bielisa's having a good season.
He's having a good season. So, I mean, there are pieces here that we can see. If they can retain Hield, because I know that was a big question, right?
They got Kent Bazemore.
They have Fox. They have Bielitsa.
They got Alex Len. He's very good, right? He's
What if they win the lottery, you know, and get that big man that they need? That looks like to be the issue, right? They went from DeMarcus Cousins to nobody.
I mean, they got Bagley.
That's
man,
true. They
but
do
I mean,
Bagley.
he's like an old school big man. I don't know if
Right.
that works. I mean, they're not winning the lotto. They're 23-33. Yeah, they're not winning the lotto. They're gonna get like the 10th pick.
So
That's just the
I
worst
guess the question is.
situation.
So that I guess the question is there a way that the Kings can jump up to at least a bubble team next year? If Bagley comes back healthy.
Yeah, they should. They
If
should. They were a
everything
bubble
breaks
team
right.
last year.
Okay, so I guess the question then is also, are
took a
De'Aaron
step
Fox
back
and
this
Buddy
year.
Hield, are they at their max, or can they get better? You know what I mean? Because if they can get better, it's possible that this team could get better, right? Like if Fox and Hield and Bagley
Fox
are,
definitely could get better. I mean,
Yeah.
Buddy Hield, he's averaging 20 a game. That's all you can really ask
Yeah.
for. Really.
Fox is getting 20 points and 7 assists.
So
Buddy Hield's getting 20 a game. He's shooting 38% from three, and I think 54% from the field. I mean, I guess he could have a better shooting year, but I don't know. They need other players.
that's probably going to be the mantra for a lot of these teams that we're about to go over. Does anybody else have anything they want to add on the Sacramento Kings before we head to our next team? Okay, so that's a wrap on the Kings. So we're going to move forward to the next team. I promise that they're not all as bad as the teams that we've mentioned so far. So we are headed to North Carolina, the city of Charlotte, where we will now cover the Hornets. They just lost the greatest player in franchise history, Kemba Walker. Kind of a sad franchise.
Yeah, they're a joke.
So I guess the question is, can the Charlotte Hornets take anything out of this season? They do have the rise of a few young players that I think were playing pretty well for them.
Devontae Graham's
Yeah,
playing really well.
Terry Rozier, Malik Monk, Devontae Graham. They have good guards.
Yeah, I mean they're just terrible though. PJ Washington looks good. He was playing good early on. I really don't follow them at all.
Yeah.
Why would I follow
They're
them?
19-37. Obviously, the Charlotte Hornets, not much to get excited about.
Yeah, they're pretty boring.
All right.
If I could not watch a minute of them for the rest of the year, I'd be very excited about that.
So you do not have a lot of Charlotte Hornet fans on the Fastballs Sports Network.
Yeah, move
here.
on to the next team.
Okay, well, I guess that's all that really needs to be said about the Hornets.
The bubble of the NBA is just disgusting.
Dude,
We're not even at the bubble yet. We are on the basement of the NBA right now.
There's literally 15 teams with like between 15 and like 22 wins.
Yeah,
And they're all just like bad.
I was kind and put some of them in the bubble, but we'll get there. Don't
Go
worry.
next, the Washington Wizards.
So the Wizards are on this list, but they are not the next team. But we can do the Wizards if you want to do the Wizards. The
No.
Wizards are actually an interesting team.
Why?
Please elaborate.
Well, they have John Wall, who
Hasn't played.
might have a knee, might not have a knee. I don't know if it's something with his leg or he missed half of last season and all of this season. But they do have Bradley Beal. They have the rising star of Rumi Hachimura. is it possible that maybe Beal and Wall could get on the same page and maybe turn this into, because I mean, think about it, like those two did quarterback teams that went to the playoffs and not first round exits, and they weren't low seeds. They were always the 4 or the 5 seed. So I mean, they were never that bad. Granted, weak Eastern Conference, but
yeah. But the big question is John Wall? Because could he still go? That's the big issue. I
so
mean, I don't know.
If you're assuming that he can still go,
he's a fast guard who's very athletic, and he's got bad knees. Is it? I don't know.
He's similar to Derrick Rose, where his athleticism was really important to his game, and you don't know how he's going to come back.
So if we are saying that John Wall manages to make a steady recovery,
and they should be good. I mean, because they do have pieces. Like I just don't know if he's going to be back.
Bradley Beal's having an unreal season. He's getting 29 a game. He's playing really well. He's pretty much the only option there, it feels like. When you watch him, he kind of just takes the majority of the shots, which he has to do.
I am a huge Bradley Beal fan. I think he's super underrated in terms of today's NBA. And I think that, like I said before, that when it was him and Wall, they might not have been winning championships, but they were translating into wins for the Wizards. Again, weaker Eastern Conference. It's been that way throughout most of John Wall's career, most of Bradley Beal's career. But they were doing things that at least were translating to playoff appearances and second round bye. So if Wall comes back healthy, there's no reason to think why they can't get back to that playoffs, right? They can't get back.
If he's back to 100%, yeah. They could definitely be one of those teams, though, where you look back and like, wow, they never won. Yeah. Like, with that core of guys, like, they never won.
Well, the championship?
Yeah.
Really? You think so?
Bradley Beal, John Wall, they had other good players during that run, too. They had Gortat was pretty good. They had Otto Porter, right? He was pretty good during that time.
But the NBA, you don't really look at it like that because LeBron and the Warriors dominated 5-6 years of the whole league. I mean, that changes history. Guys like Harden, Westbrook, and stuff, like they didn't really got a chance. Like Harden dominated the league the past 3 years, and he never played in the finals because the Warriors. And you can't even blame him. I mean, the Warriors were amazing. He had to play against during his prime was the KD Warriors. That's
a really good point.
What you can do about it.
Chris, I have a quick question for you. So, Chris, for those of you that don't know, is a huge college basketball fan. He loves college basketball. Would a John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins reunion do anything for you next season in Washington?
I mean, it would be cool. I mean, they both haven't played. It would be cool on paper, like just seeing that, and maybe it will happen. But I mean, they're both probably the biggest question marks in the league right now.
They could do the Dougie together, hit game-winning shots. You know,
it'd be a nice nostalgia act. You know, get some people into the place to watch.
It might not.
It might not.
They might not play. So, I mean,
I thought it was a nice thing by the Lakers. They waived DeMarcus Cousins, but he's going to continue to rehab with them and hang out with them. So that's nice. That was cool. You know, it's like they could have said, go home. Like,
it seems like they're really throwing a pity party.
Yeah, but I mean,
it is nice that they let him rehab.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's important for his career or what's left of his career.
They didn't have to do that.
They did not have to do that. You're right. So it seems like we're going to leave the Wizards, where we've left pretty much every team, except for the Warriors, being pretty unsure.
It will get exciting
about the future. So we just have a few more to go over here. What about the Cleveland Cavaliers? Do we even want to do this with the Cleveland Cavaliers? Because
should we even should we talk about Drummond? Should we say what are they doing with Drummond?
What was
that trade?
Not coming back.
Well,
what was the point?
So he has a player option.
Yeah.
And I guess if he feels that he's going to make a lot more in the 1 year of the player option than he would get out of like a 2 or 3 year deal in terms of like a yearly type of thing, that he might stick around in Cleveland for one more year. I've heard
that guy's lost so much. I feel like he probably just wants to leave.
And okay, so now if Andre Drummond were to leave, is there a contender that you think would say like, okay, well, we're an Andre Drummond away? We go back to the Sacramento Kings. Would the Sacramento Kings maybe take a chance on Andre Drummond? No, definitely not. Okay.
I don't think he wants to go there.
What about the Wizards? We just talked about them.
No.
Would that be
I think if he's going to go somewhere for less money, it's got to be
Are the Warriors a fit?
I mean, you don't see why not, right? They can pretty much spread out and not have him be a liability, right? Because I think that the problem with Andre Drummond's game is he's kind of an older type of player, like a classic NBA player.
He can't shoot.
Rebound.
Maybe the Clippers.
The Clippers, that's another good point. He's a good defender too. He's a good paint defender.
The game might be phasing him out.
He's not Rudy Gobert, but yeah.
For example, you would think the Rockets, because they don't have a big, but the Rockets wouldn't go nowhere near him.
They don't have a center right now.
PJ Tucker's a center.
Right. So anyway, just back to the Cavaliers team as a whole. Really
Kevin
weird
Love's
state
yelling
of
at the
affairs.
players. You know, it's
really weird state of affairs with Kevin Love. They have 2 point guards that they drafted in the last 2 drafts. Feels like kind of a waste. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that situation?
I don't know. They're a weird team. I don't know what they're doing.
Candy does not.
You're looking like Darius Garland and Colin Sexton and I don't know. Tristan Thompson is having a nice season, but who really cares?
Yeah, who even cares? Like, another top pick. I mean, the NBA is just brutal with that. You just got a bunch of these teams that we're talking about that just really they're just so boring. They just do the same thing every draft. They take guys and they'll have decent years or whatever, and they'll still be in the lotto, and then they'll just I just don't.
I really wanted Kevin Love to go to a contender, but it wasn't meant to be.
So does Kevin Love walk after the season, or is he on contract for one more year? Does anyone know what Kevin Love's situation is?
He might just retire, honestly.
He's not going to retire.
He's
getting 18 and 10 a game.
Would he rather retire than play for the Cavaliers?
He's going to his age 32 season next year. He's not going to retire.
So I guess, again, we're going to leave the Cavaliers where we've left so many teams in this early slate. Just really unsure about what the future is for them. Let's move on to the Chicago Bulls.
Why?
Because we got to give everyone our... We here at the Fastballs...
It's going to be a 3-hour show.
We here at the Fastball Sport Network like to believe in equal opportunity for every single team to get on this show, okay? And that is no different with the Chicago Bulls. And come on now. The Chicago Bulls, they could be headed in the right direction.
Yeah, maybe.
Zach LaVine is a very good player.
All right.
Zach LaVine is good. He's getting 25 a game.
Every team we mentioned has a good player.
Lauri Markkanen.
It's true. Lauri Markkanen.
I guess that's true.
Kobe White, good shooter. Torch the Knicks.
Now, the Garpax era seems to be coming to an end. Much like the Knicks, they are plagued with this terrible management ownership group. They just cannot seem to get out of their own way. They were able to, by sheer luck, put a nice team around Derrick Rose early in his career, and that translated to losing to LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then before that, it was dry from MJ till then, and it's been
dry again.
Dry since. So it's going to be interesting to see what Chicago does with this new core of Lauri Markkanen and Zach LaVine. I will say, you are right. Out of some of the duos or trios that we've talked about, this isn't one of the ones that really pops out at me. But I think Zach LaVine is on his way to becoming a really, really good NBA player. I think like a lot of the guys on this list, you just got to get NBA talent around him. Good NBA talent around him. Anything else that we want to say on the Chicago Bulls?
Who's next?
Yeah, who's next?
You guys will be happy to know that we only have 3 more teams left on this. We will go to Atlanta, the Hawks.
All right, the Hawks aren't too bad. At least there's something to talk about.
It's Trae Young. It's someone exciting. Like the whole team around.
John Collins, Trae Young. They're probably going to get a nice free agent. They're going to get another good draft pick.
So a draft pick and a free agent could turn the Hawks into an immediate
I thought they were going to be good this year.
For sure.
So.
And especially, we don't know what the East is going to look like in 2 years, right?
And Capella. They traded for Clint
Capella.
Yeah,
they got Clint Capella. They could really go from terrible this year to the 3 seed in the East next year. Not the 3 seed, but
there's a
comfortable playoff.
I don't even think that's that far off. If Giannis is serious about leaving Milwaukee
to Atlanta.
No. Maybe not out of the East.
Maybe not Atlanta. But what if they move out of the East? Then trigger Trae Young. He becomes one of the better players in the Eastern Conference. Already top 5 in both assists and points per game. That's really impressive from a second-year player.
Uh-huh.
Really impressive. Because you see a lot of times good shooters come in, they want to shoot first. You see a lot of times good passers come in, they don't have that established jump shot. But it looks like offense is just the nature of the game for Trae Young. You could worry about his defense, but when it comes down to it, this league is an offensive league, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
they're definitely exciting. They got pieces, unlike every other team we've seen to be talking about. I could actually see them being good next year.
All right.
And shout out to Vince Carter, age 43, retiring. That's a great career.
Yeah. Yes. Good job, Vince.
Vince, honestly, I would wish Vince could stay around one more year for when the Hawks got good. Okay. 2 more teams left. I'm going to get an eye roll from Chris for the next one for sure. And that is we are headed to Detroit to discuss the Pistons. Candy, you could sum up the Pistons.
I like Derrick Rose. I mean, he's probably not going to be there, right? He'll probably
They traded their franchise player in Drummond for nothing.
Which wasn't even, when it comes to franchise players, Drummond's probably not even a top 15
but he's had
in terms of
consecutive years of 15 and 15, 18 and 18. I understand it's not.
He is great at what he does. There's no question.
Yes, he's not positioned well for today's game. He doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't really hit
free throws well.
They do still have Blake Griffin.
Who still plays basketball.
Who does still play basketball.
They kept Derrick Rose past the deadline. A lot of teams were interested in him. Not really sure why they kept him, but they did. There's not a lot to look at, really.
I think out of all the teams, this one's kind of probably in the biggest mess out of all of them. Because there doesn't really seem to be a clear direction. Like you said, they have Blake Griffin, but what is Blake Griffin at this point in his career?
Do you think they just wanted anything for Drummond? Do you think like the deadline came, they're like, we just have to take whatever? Because it was John Henson and Brandon Knight. That's what they settled on for their.
Funny part about Brandon Knight was a Piston before, right?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, so, full circle for Brandon Knight. Maybe they were really missing him.
He's getting 1.5 points per game this season. So.
Is Reggie Jackson
No, they
still a
waived
Piston?
him. They waived him. He's
Oh,
on the
he's
Clippers
gone?
now. Reggie Jackson's on the Clippers.
I
Reggie
like
Jackson
Brandon
is a Clipper.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really nice pickup for the Clippers. We'll get to the Clippers. I promise we're getting to good teams. So, Pistons, I think that they're in the worst spot out of all of the teams on this list so far.
I don't know about that. But
I'm just not sure they have a direction. They're kind of just there.
Yeah.
Poor Dwayne Casey.
Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year and got fired, and then was hired by the Pistons. That's got to be the worst sequence in any coach's
That's
career.
tough.
And then the team that he left got Kawhi, and they won.
And
the
they won a
championship.
championship.
And they would have won the championship with Dwayne Casey
If
was
he
the
had
coach.
Kawhi. So we move on to the last, and you know what they say? The last, you got to save the best for last. You do. So we got to talk about the team right here in New York. We got to talk about the Knicks.
You didn't call us a bubble team? You didn't give us that
I
satisfaction?
did not give us the bubble team
That's
satisfaction.
tough, Frank.
Listen, I love the Knicks to death. I've watched way too many games for my health this season. But they're a bad team. They're a really bad team. They don't really have a foreseeable future. So I guess my question to you guys is, how do we feel about R.J. Barrett? We've watched John Morant and Zion Williamson have the rookie seasons of their dreams, and R.J.'s been kind of slow developing. That being said, R.J.'s numbers are not terrible, and you definitely see flashes from him.
I think he's been somewhat disappointing just based on, like you said, watching what Ja's doing, watching what Zion has done since he came back. And then you look at RJ where he's not the guy. They had Marcus Morris and they have Julius Randle, but he is getting a majority of the touches, the shots, and he's shooting 39% with 14 points per game, which isn't bad in his rookie year. Like, he's 19 years old, but I think we wanted and expected more.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember he's still young. He's still only 18 or 19 years old. But yeah, it's you don't like that when you lose the lotto and then the other two guys are amazing. And then I don't know what his ceiling's going to be. He doesn't really have a great jump shot. It's tough.
You hope it develops, but like you said, it's not great.
I think that seems to be the mantra with R.J. Barrett, right? If he can develop a three-point shot, I think consensus is he'll be fine in this league.
Yeah.
Maybe not a superstar. I still do think that the way he plays defense, the way he goes out and competes every night, he will learn the game, and I don't foresee him being a total bust. He's already a quality, in my opinion, he's already a quality NBA player. But the question is, can he become that star and maybe even that superstar? And I think that we're all in agreement. For him to do that, he needs to be able to knock down both that three-point shot a little bit more consistently and his free throws. He needs to be able to hit his free throws because that's been an issue for him. But certainly a bunch of games he's gotten to the 20-point mark this season. It could be, I don't think I'm not worried about him yet, per se.
They have Mitchell Robinson, he's a bright point. They have some guys that show flashes. Neil Aquina shows flashes, but it's once a month type of thing where it's like, oh, he might be good, but then the next 3 games he barely plays or doesn't play efficiently.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
they have a bunch of guys where it's like, oh, maybe he can turn into this, but we know he's not going to type of thing.
Like Kevin Knox?
I'm pretty much out on him at this point, sadly, because the Knicks are out on him. He was one of their most played players last year in terms of minutes, and then they haven't touched him this year. When he goes out there, he looks lost.
For any of you that would like a challenge out there, throughout the duration of this podcast, I want you to think of the top 3 players that played minutes for the New York Knicks last season. That would be the 2018-2019 season. I will let you know at the end of the show if I remember, because they are a very forgettable team.
It's impossible. You won't get it.
It's impossible. It is. The Knicks are going to get another high pick. I'm just hoping as a fan that something happens. Maybe they fall to us. Listen, there are a few prospects that are very intriguing, and also it's a point guard heavy draft, and the Knicks need a point guard in the worst way, right?
That's so sad. But yes, like they
it's
have
a point guard
Dennis
heavy
Smith
draft,
and Neil Aquina,
and the Knicks need a point
need a
guard.
point guard.
So this could be the year that maybe we see like at least a glimmer of hope coming from the New York Knicks. And hey, Anthony Davis is hitting free agent. No, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it.
But
all right.
Maybe.
Next team.
Well, Candy, you'll be very excited to know that we are officially out of the basement of the NBA. We're going to head to some of the more of the intriguing teams in the NBA just because we don't know one way or another what they are. And I want to start with a really fun team, and I think a team that's been surprising everyone this season, the Oklahoma City Thunder. How do we feel about the Thunder?
I don't know, because are they young? Are they a young team? Like I don't know.
They're like half and half.
I like Shea. Chris Paul is pretty cool what he's doing, but I mean, like, are
That's
they?
been some story, what Chris Paul has done.
Yeah, it really is. Steven Adams is still young, which is amazing. Like, you'd think he'd be 35, but he's still really young. I like them a lot, but what's their ceiling? They're gonna need. I guess it's gonna be easier for them to bring someone in because they got Shea. They got a lot of nice pieces. It's a good basketball city. Everyone says that arena's great.
You remember when the Westbrook trade happened? Everyone was talking about they want to trade Chris Paul for whatever, like anything.
Yeah,
they
they
can
would
get
have got
for
room
him.
for anything.
And he's getting 18 a game with 5 boards, 6 assists, and he's leading that team. He's a legitimate leader for them.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I thought for sure he was going to be traded at not the deadline, but
34 years old.
So Chris Paul has how many years left on that contract? Is it 1 or 2?
I think he's got a few because I remember he got that max deal from Houston.
It's a lot of money.
I believe it's 2 years, a lot of money. Is that something that maybe a different competing team would want to pick up? And do you think at this point Oklahoma City would consider maybe just keeping him around?
They should keep him now.
He's going to be the question of a lot of trade talks in the upcoming offseason. You know, we love to talk about a bunch of trade scenarios. You know, would you keep him if you were OKC?
It's 2 more seasons after this one. Next year is $41 million. The year after is $44 million.
It's a lot of money.
It's just too bad with Chris Paul if he got hurt that year. They were going to beat the Warriors. That's career changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
Yep.
He got a lot of flack for that. He legitimately couldn't walk.
Yeah.
It was sad.
That sucked.
I think a problem for OKC in general has been the problem that they've had, I think, throughout their tenure, besides for Kevin Durant and James Harden. But James Harden wasn't even this when he was there. They do not have shooters, right?
I really don't watch them that much, but
Chris Paul can shoot. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
They got Doug
can
McDermott.
shoot.
No, he's on the Pacers.
Dougie Bucket's on the Pacers.
Dennis Schroeder, does he shoot?
Dennis Schroeder, but these are all their primary ball handlers, right? That they are trying to make plays for other people. So besides for them, the shooting is just not there again for Oklahoma City. If they can get some shooters around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander,
Danilo
Gallinari, I forgot about him, wasn't moved at the deadline. Do we think that they could ultimately become one of the top teams in the West again? Is he a building block, or is this an anomaly type of season?
Honestly,
that's a really good
not
question.
For the future. Not in the near future.
They're 34 and 22, but it's kind of surprised everyone. Like, you got to think, is there...
I don't think they're going to get to the top. Like, I don't think they have enough to get to the top, but they could be consistently good. Like, they could be like the old Grizzlies teams
I agree
were
with
like
that.
always in the playoffs and like always tough team to beat. But I don't think they're going to get to like a Lakers or Clippers level. But who could?
Now, do remember that on top of Oklahoma City already having somewhat of a nice little core here, right, that they're working with, they do have a ton of draft picks that they got for trading Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Now, they're not going to be high lottery picks or anything like that, but they have their own picks. They have those picks. It's got to be like double the picks that they would have had coming up in like the next 5 years, right? So, listen.
Yeah, they do have a lot of picks.
Yeah.
I mean, but picks are weird though because
You got to hit.
Yeah, and how often do these guys really hit?
Well, Oklahoma City Thunder is pretty
Oklahoma City,
notorious
yeah, they
for
do
hitting,
hit on
right?
their picks.
So,
They do hit on their picks. But I mean, like, it's tougher. I don't know. I feel like it's tougher to hit on picks that are going to fit your role players as opposed to hitting on a guy who's going to be the guy.
That's
Like,
fair.
who's going to fit in perfectly? Who's going to do that? Like, they don't need a guy who's going to come in and be a stud.
That's a good point. And I think, honestly, we could spend a whole show in Oklahoma City because I think they're a really interesting team. But we will move on. Dallas Mavericks. Is Luka Doncic becoming the best player in the league? Is that something we foresee happening? If he's not the best player in the league, will he definitely be in that top tier? Is he already in that top tier? We got to talk about Luka because that's where the Mavs start.
I think he's already there. Like, he's not above LeBron or Giannis or these guys, but I think he's right there with them.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably, I think, a level below them. I don't think I would put him there yet because, I mean, look at LeBron and Giannis.
He's getting almost a triple-double. He's getting 29, 10, and
I know,
9.
but they're in 7th place in the West. Like, the stats are cool and all, but, I mean, LeBron and Giannis' teams are in 1st place. And even when LeBron was on the Cavs when he was young, they would be in the 1st place all the time.
I do agree with what Chris is saying that there's still another step that he might have to take. He's also the injuries kind of concern me with him. Is he going to be able to stay healthy for what he needs to be? I'm not saying 82 games. No one plays 82 games in the NBA anymore.
No.
But is he going to be able to stay healthy for that 65 to 75 game stretch that they're definitely going to need him for? Because I don't believe he's on pace to do that, and there's still a bunch of season left where he could get hurt, he could sprain an ankle or something like that, go down for 2 weeks, and then be way under that mark.
No,
so
exactly.
are we? Is that's definitely something that I think that he has to work on. The other piece in Dallas is a really interesting one. And I know we're going to have two split opinions here. I'm going to try and play the middleman because I know Kristaps Porzingis, listen, I will take my opinions of him as a Knicks fan out of it. He's 7'3" and can shoot the ball great. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to let you guys talk about this because I know you guys have two very different opinions on Kristaps Porzingis.
So I really like him. Chris's argument is that he's soft, and he's right. Like he's not a tough big man. You know, he doesn't get the rebounds he should get at 7'3". But I just feel like he's so fun to watch, and he's an anomaly. Like there's not many guys who do what he does, and it's enjoyable to watch.
You're 7'3", go get me a rebound.
I understand that's.
What are you doing outside the 3-point line?
You're also saying that part of the game is kind of dying out.
But we're also looking at a team that's in 7th freaking place.
There's not many guys around these two. It's kind of just the two of them.
That is a good point. I think that Dallas will continue to get better. They're going to be a top team in the Western Conference with or without Kristaps Porzingis. In my opinion, I think he's really important that you get that piece around Luka. But again, health concerns for Kristaps. Now you have your two big stars.
He can't be your Porzingis is going to be your number 2 on a really good team. You need more.
He could be a 2 on a really good team.
No, he can't.
I think that he could be equal to another player as the second and third players, just who's playing.
He's also hurt all the time.
Who's
the Bucks 2 right now? Middleton?
It's Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton's sick.
Chris Middleton
is that much better.
Chris Middleton is a really good shooter.
He is really good.
I do like the comparison, though. I think as star level comes, that they are very similar. And Chris Middleton's
been a 2-time All-Star. He's been an All-Star the past 2 years.
Porzingis was an All-Star with the Knicks once, and he's rehabbing an injury this year, or he's getting back from an injury that takes people out of the game.
And that's also an example of why I don't think Luka's on Giannis's level. That he has that Chris Middleton, that's his number 2, and he's there. What are they? 8 or something.
He also has Bledsoe and Lopez, and this is more talent.
That's true. There's a lot more talent on the Bucks than there is on the Mavericks.
It's fair.
Listen,
I'm not arguing with you.
The Mavericks had to take on a lot of contracts that maybe they didn't want to when they made that trade for Kristaps Porzingis. And when a guy like Porzingis is out there, I think you go and get him. Because, listen, when it comes down to it, there's not a lot of players that are going to be as good as Kristaps Porzingis in the league. There are players that are better. Not even
like the Middleton argument, like that's why I don't think they're going to win the championship either. Though I don't think they're that good. I don't think they have enough.
Okay. I mean, listen, that's a fair point. And so what you're saying is they need another person that's even a higher level than Porzingis to win a championship.
Yeah.
But my argument to that is I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to believe that Dallas could draw in another player. First of all, they are both European, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a possibility that there's a connection. You like playing with people from the area that you're around. Maybe if you're not around, if you're not from America or even like Canada. So they might have that draw on somebody. They also have the draw of being in Dallas. Dallas is a pretty big city. We're all from New York, so we're used to having a big city right in our backyard. Dallas is a great market to come and play. Mark Cuban is a great owner to play for. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Mavs could pull in another at least star, let alone possibly a superstar. And the allure of playing with Luka Doncic, if I'm a good player in the league and Luka says, come play with me, I think I'd want to do that.
It's got to be enticing for sure.
It's going to be a while, though. And the whole thing about like the West is like, oh, it's the new era and stuff when people say the NBA, but like people don't realize that guys like Harden and Westbrook, Curry, they're not that old. Like they're not going anywhere.
Well, that's
These
a really
guys
good point
are not
too,
going anywhere.
because you say it's the new era, but I say it's their era. You know what I mean? They haven't gotten their era yet because they're not
getting
before,
the era for a while.
Right.
Like it's not coming.
Well, no. What I'm saying is I'm agreeing with you. It's Chris Paul. It's Russell Westbrook and James Harden.
Yeah, it's their era.
Kevin Durant's era, because it was not their era before the Warriors happened. Right? Their era just started when the Warriors happened. And you got to think these eras last like 10 years. So these guys like Booker and Harden and Trae Young and Luka Doncic, John Morant, Zion Williamson, these guys, they're going to be good players in the league for a really long time, but they don't become the prime guys
no, it's true.
Until the Hardens and the Westbrooks and the KDs decide to hang it up. And LeBron's from a bygone era, but he just keeps doing his thing, right? LeBron's era is basically over. Not LeBron himself.
LeBron's era is going to be over when he stops.
Well, no, not LeBron himself,
I know what you mean,
but the era that LeBron is from. The Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, they're all on their, they're all having great time in their retirement ceremonies and everything.
Yeah, but that's why these guys like Luka got to make their, like, I know there's stat-wise, they're making their own name, but like, you got to win games too.
Memphis.
I love Memphis.
Memphis is is a team with a rookie point guard who possibly could be the best player on the team, possibly could be the second best player on the team, Jaren Jackson, and they are making waves in the Western Conference. 8th seed in the Western Conference is nothing to laugh at.
No, I mean 8th seed and their first year together. Dylan Brooks is having a really nice year. And Memphis is a good organization. Like that's like an organization you look at. It's like why can't the Knicks do something like that? But
I
Memphis
agree with
just
that.
they're always good. They went through a little period where they rebuilt and then they got all the right picks. They got Jackson, they got Morant. And I mean, some of it's luck with the lottery, but they always grind out good teams. They get players like Dylan Brooks too.
They feel like the Cardinals in baseball, where it's like they always just go out there and they put out a good team, no matter what.
Yeah, they're always good. They had some down years, obviously, but they're always consistent.
Any standouts on this team besides obviously for John Morant and
Dylan
Jaren
Brooks.
Jackson?
Dylan Brooks, yep.
He's been great.
I feel like Dylan Brooks probably isn't a household name in the NBA.
Not yet.
currently.
No,
but I think he's gonna.
And when they get better, he's going to get more recognition as being a great, just like role player.
For sure.
In college at Oregon, he was just a winner. He was a stud there. They were always good teams when he was there. They were 1 seed twice. He always led him to a Final Four. He just wins.
He got some attention for his comments about Iguodala, but I don't think he'll get some real recognition until
and also he missed the whole year last year, pretty much.
With the torn ACL, yeah.
Torn ACL. So.
And to your point, the comments about Iguodala, I might be in the minority. I like things like that.
Everyone likes things like that.
You can't not like that.
Iguodala refused to play for the Grizzlies, so this guy's like, all right, get him off my team and get him something that we can use. Because if he's refusing, I don't hate that, and I think he's in the right. Honestly.
No, he is in the right. I mean, they're
100%.
in the playoffs, and Iguodala's just going to sit out the whole year. I mean, come on.
They're not 19 and 20. They're not 19 and 40. They're not sitting like they're right there. They're right there in it. And
Morant was getting into it too with people on Twitter.
I was doing the same thing. Yep.
It's good. I mean, it's good for the league.
So I want to end the Grizzlies the same way I've posing the same question that I posed about the previous two teams. Do we think in a few years, Grizzlies, young core, are they going to be one of the top teams in the Western Conference?
I believe it.
I think they could be, but I think they got to bring they're going to have to bring in another name, which it might be tough to do in Memphis. But I think they're always going to be good. I don't know if they're going to get to the next level.
That's kind of the situation with almost every bubble team. You know,
Right.
It's like, wow, one more big name, this team could really be great.
But they're really that one big.
I
You know what
think
I mean? Like they're like
our
teams.
next two teams might be on the way down, not the way up.
Okay.
So
Who are they?
we're going to get there. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we might as well just go there now. So the next team, Portland Trailblazers. Now, I know you're going to think, Frank, you're crazy. How are they on the way down? Damian Lillard's playing the best ball he's played in his career, right? They can't seem to find any defensive consistency. And it feels like they've tried this thing now with Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, adding a bunch of different pieces to that for a pretty decent amount of time. Is it time to accept that maybe the Blazers aren't going to be able to take that next step and maybe think about moving on from Damian Lillard? Because like I said, he's playing his best ball.
No,
maybe
Damian Lillard's going to retire. He's going to retire at Trailblazers.
Well,
he loves it there. They love him.
But maybe it's time to move on from McCollum then.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Well, McCollum's contract is going to be very hard to trade.
I think they got to keep it going because I mean, this year they got plagued by injuries. Last year they got screwed by the KD Warriors. I mean, they got swept, but I mean, like they were one step away, and that's what I mean. Like KD going to the Warriors like kind of ruined like basketball history because like for 3 years, however long he's there, 3 or 2 years, I think it was 3, right? Teams just couldn't win. Like teams like Portland, where it's like Lillard's in the middle in his prime, McCollum's in his prime. They get to the conference finals last year, and like they're a really good team. They have no chance. Like they were a 3 seed last year in the West, but they had no chance. Like it's not their fault.
So
There's
you
nothing
think
to do
just
about it.
run it back, keep trying?
I think they should run it back next year. I mean, this year they were hurt a lot. I mean, at least one more year, run it back. They're good. They have talent. They can get someone else too. Who would they just bring in? I mean,
Trevor
Whiteside's
Ariza,
whatever,
they brought
Trevor
in for
Ariza.
defense.
No, they brought in some other. They brought in
Obviously Melo.
Yeah, Melo. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think they got to run it back another year though. I can see why you're saying they're on the downswing though. They were the 3 seed last year. They're 10 seed right now.
So for the Blazers, then, if they are going to run it back, who do you think that they just keep this basically the same team?
I think if they stayed healthy and had the same team, they'd be good. And the West isn't going to be. I mean, it's going to be good next year too. But I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of the NBA offseason is wild. You really have no idea.
Do you think they bring Carmelo Anthony back, who's been a pleasant surprise?
If he wants to?
I think Melo has a lot to offer any NBA team that's competing for a championship. I honestly think that obviously you've got some Nick Biased here. He did some great things for our team.
He's been a great story. All the teams that wouldn't give him a chance.
But I mean, if we pull up Melo's numbers, I'm sure we would not be surprised that if he's averaging like 15 a game, And
getting rebounds.
he's playing. I've seen some defensive highlights from Carmelo Anthony this season when I turn on SportsCenter.
He's motivated.
He's locked in, and I think that he is proving everybody wrong that said he was done and washed. And I think that there's no reason he can't be a quality player for the Blazers next year if they do choose to keep Dame and keep going forward with trying to compete at the highest level. However, if they were to go away, I don't think the Blazers are any longer a fit. I think at this point, he's one of those players that goes to a competing team and either is the last starter, you know what I mean, in terms of talent, or is the first man off the bench as a sixth man. I think that's where he is at his point in his career.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's probably where he's at. He's got to realize that, which I think he probably does.
I think he knows that. He just wanted an opportunity, and he finally got it with Portland.
Yeah, which is good story.
Okay. The next team, this one's kind of sad because I think for our entire lifetime, this team has been a top team. The San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, they're on the way down, and Popovich probably going to retire soon. I mean, they're down. They're not even on the way down. They're down.
Yeah.
This really is the first time, like in our lives, that they're a bad team.
Yeah, they're really bad.
They've had so many good teams over the year. They've had a mix of players. I mean, obviously, we were a little bit young for the David Robinson era, but we all know who he is. We all know what he did for the Spurs. And we watched Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker just run roughshod through the Western Conference for the entirety of their careers. So it's kind of sad with the Spurs, but I think it sounds like we're all pretty much in agreement that they are.
Yeah, it feels like probably this offseason they'll look to move on from guys like LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, whatever bets they have left in terms of talent.
Yeah, I think this is probably it for them. I think it has to be it for them.
Anyone feeling a DeMar DeRozan reunion in Toronto?
Maybe.
I don't think it would be the worst fit in the world.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It worked.
I thought that if they could somehow acquire him at the trade deadline for not so much, I thought that would be really cool. But I could also see him never wanting to go back there too.
Do you think Becky Hammon takes Pop's job, first female coach?
I think that's what Suave said, right?
Maybe.
For those of you who don't know, Suave is our friend, our friend Liam, and
You'll meet him at some point.
He's a good dude.
Lee Water.
So yeah, but I'm all for Becky Hammon. She clearly has her wits about her. We saw that thing earlier where she told Pop you need to challenge the call, and he's like no, and then she's like no, you need to challenge the call. Listen, I'm all for it. I want to see it for sure. She seems like, again, she's very knowledgeable in basketball, and she seems like she's really with it. So I'd love to see that. All right, so we will move on from the Spurs. We only have a few more teams left in the bubble, and then we get to talk about the really fun stuff, all right? But I think this next team is actually a lot of fun. One of my favorite players in the league currently is on this team, and that's the New Orleans Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I'm excited about the Pelicans.
I was waiting for us to talk about them. They're on TV right now. We're watching them play the Warriors. They're actually losing to the Warriors. Bad look for us, but I definitely like the Pelicans.
It's still early.
It's first halftime.
So I think that the only question, I think we've had our answers on what Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram are going to be, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be bona fide studs, right? Maybe not superstars, but Brandon Ingram's going to be a 25-point per game scorer, and Lonzo Ball's going to be at least a 15-10 guy. At least a 15-10 guy. And he's a triple-double guy sometimes when he feels like it. You know what I mean? When he feels like going to grab a few rebounds, Lonzo Ball could do it. And we've seen him take that step this year, and he has to continue to grow. And so does Ingram.
He will, though. He's young.
Right. So
I love Lonzo.
So the question becomes, Zion Williamson. We know he's good. We know he's going to be good. No, there's no question about it. The health. How concerned are you about Zion Williamson's health?
It's concerning. I mean, he's that big body and the way he just is so athletic, the way he could jump, the way he just cuts and stuff. It's definitely concerning, but I mean, when he plays, he's a beast. There's no denying that. So if he just stays on the court, they're going to be really good.
Yeah, he just plays so tough. He misses his own shot, he goes and gets it, but there is legitimate concern long term with how much he weighs, and he's only 6'6". He doesn't have a huge frame in terms of height, but like you said, when he's out there, he's great.
Yeah, this team's really fun. They got Ingram too. Who Ingram's playing?
Brandon Ingram is going to be offered a max contract by someone. Do you think they match it? No question.
Yes, they have to.
I can't. All I know is I'm just thinking about myself, and I'm thinking about obviously everything comes back to the Knicks for me. So they'll
offer him a max.
I'm just thinking if the Knicks offer Brandon Ingram a max and they somehow don't accept it, I'll be jumping for joy.
Yeah.
So I cannot imagine them not matching it.
Yeah.
And why would they? They're not paying anybody significant any money.
No, they
And
have all the
you
money
always,
in the world.
You always say you have enough for 3 maxes, right? So they got their 3 max guys. Now they just need to find guys to put around them, and they've already started, right? Who's the rookie? Jackson Hayes, is that right?
Jackson Hayes, good big. They got Josh Hart.
Josh Hart's been good. He was another piece of the Anthony Davis
JJ
trade.
Redick.
JJ Redick.
Redick.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday.
Solid.
He's such a good player, and we haven't even talked about him.
Yeah.
If Zion was here the whole year, they would probably be a playoff team.
I agree with
Memphis
that.
is 500, so it'd be close. I mean, they're only like 4 out right now, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, this year is definitely not the year for them, but next year they're going to be a heavy favorite. Not a heavy favorite to win, but a heavy favorite to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that blue skies for the Pelicans from here on out. I just cannot see things not going well there, and I hope that I didn't just jinx them because I actually do like the players on that team a lot.
They killed it last year with the AD trade and the Lotto. Like,
They did a really good job.
Let me ask you a question. If the Lakers somehow don't manage to win a championship with Anthony Davis, does that trade become one of the worst in NBA history?
No,
like, I know
no,
that
no.
It'll never be viewed as it like that, but
Yeah, anytime you get Anthony Davis, it can't be.
they could go back to regret it.
All right. So Pelicans, nice, easy, fun team. Moving on to one that's kind of interesting. I like some of the players on this team too. The Indiana Pacers.
Oh, I like them a lot. Vic was hurt the whole year pretty much, so that hurts them.
And they're
he's-
competing with him now.
And they're competing with him back, but he's got to get back. Like, it's going to take a little bit from that injury. But I like the Pacers a lot.
I think they're similar to Memphis, where you always look at them like they're always
Yeah,
gritty. It's
just
like
good
they're always
organization.
good. They always make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're the Eastern Conference Memphis Grizzlies.
Love
by
Sabonis.
comparison. Love Sabonis.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would say that there's not even really a ton to talk about here. They just kind of are what they are.
Yeah.
Do we see them maybe competing in the Eastern Conference, or maybe not yet?
Depends how Vic comes back. It was a tough injury. If not this year, I think they definitely can next year.
They're
Are
definitely
they a top 4 seed in the East with Victor Oladipo healthy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I agree. I think it's close, but I agree.
I don't know about that. Top 4?
Yeah, top 4.
Bucks, Raptors. I think the 76ers are better than them. They're not playing great, but I'd probably take them.
We're going to talk about the
Telling you, though,
process.
if Vic was healthy, they were playing real good. Like last year.
Yeah, but
Pacers were
he missed the
rolling.
entire
He
year.
was
Yeah,
excellent
we're saying when
last
he's
year.
healthy. Like
Are you
Um,
confident he's going to come back and be the same player
well,
he was?
the question was when he's healthy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did say when he's
Okay.
healthy, but no, I don't think that there's a reason to think that Oladipo can't come back and be the player that he was. I think a lot of times we look too much into that, and injuries do derail careers for sure. But it's usually the constant injury
Yeah.
when a
Yeah.
guy gets hurt.
I mean,
second
Paul
time,
George's bone came out of his leg. And he's
right,
fine.
and he's back, and he
That's
played.
a good point.
He played great ball. I think it's when the injury reoccurs, right? When you keep
when it
getting
recurs.
that
Like-
same
When
injury.
John
it
Wall.
lingers.
Like if
yeah.
Zion never has another knee injury, there's no reason to think that he can't have a 20-year career, right?
No, yeah.
But if
Okay.
Zion's knee is again in the news and again in the news, then
Yeah.
that's when we start to get worried, right? But with Zion, it's a little bit different because of his weight. But yes, so yeah, not really a lot to say about the Pacers. We all like them. I think they're a really likable team too. I think the guys on that team are really likable. So we will move on to another Eastern Conference team. I think if this team were in the West, they'd be in the lottery. But the Orlando Magic. Any thoughts on the Orlando Magic?
I love Evan Fournier.
They have pieces.
Vucevic is good. Aaron
Isaac's
Gordon's
good.
good. Isaac's good. They have some good players, but
Hopefully Fultz is good.
False.
he's having a nice year, isn't he?
False is having.
Yeah, I mean, hope he has a good career.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they remember last year in the playoffs they beat they didn't win the series, but they won a game. I remember because I remember watching that. They won game 1 against someone. I forgot. It might have been Toronto.
Yeah.
Was it Toronto?
I believe you're right.
I think they won
believe
game
you're
1
right.
against Toronto. But anyway, I don't know. I don't love them, but
I think I can get behind. I don't love them, but I love.
they're doing better than a lot of other garbage teams.
Yeah.
Like all these other
And you know
teams
what?
we talked about earlier.
You know what?
in the
We
show.
talk about.
But I don't think they're tanking, though. I think that's the difference.
Well,
I think they're
okay,
trying to contend.
But is there something to be said about that? That we
Yeah,
talk
there
about
is.
all these teams and they are just being putrid and they're trying to be.
we
Because all the
spoke
teams that are
about that,
tanking have
right?
sucked for years.
Right. But the Magic, they're always in the playoffs.
On the
At
flip
least that's
side,
something,
though,
right?
like if you're the fan of the team, you're excited. But if you're not, you're like, what are they doing? Like, what's the point?
Right, so there might not be a lot of entertainment factor for us as people that are not living in Orlando, that are not Magic fans, but at least for their fan base, they can go into the season knowing we have a shot at the
What a
playoffs.
joke.
Which, at least, like me as a Knicks fan, I would love to go into next season knowing we have a shot
exactly.
at the playoffs.
Like there's
So,
7 organizations
I
you name off the bat that are
I
a joke.
commend
They're not one of them.
I commend the Orlando Magic for doing what they're doing and trying to compete every year when it's so easy to just say, okay, we have Markelle Fultz, he could be the point guard of the future, let's just tank around him.
Yeah.
And try and get better players than Vucevic and Evan Fournier. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. And last team on the bubble, they're only on the bubble because of injuries, and we know that they're not going to be on the bubble next year. There's probably not a ton to say about them. The Nets.
Oh yeah, the Nets
Brooklyn
are
Nets.
they're built for they were built for
Next
year. When
I was going to say the
everyone knew
Nets when you said the Pacers potentially a top 4 team next year. I feel like the Nets are like a lock, aren't they? To be a top 4
That's
team.
a really good point.
That is true. I didn't think about the Nets.
We talked about
top 5.
Okay. Sure.
I didn't think about it.
I didn't want to say because I knew they were coming up, so I'll weigh on the Nets.
I remember when KD signed, we were in your pool in the backyard, and then we're like, all right, we know they're going for next year.
The
It's
great
not two
free
years.
agency barbecue.
Now,
Yeah.
we talk about nagging injuries before, right? And I said that was one of the things that would concern me. Kyrie Irving.
Okay, the thing is with Kyrie, I feel like he's going to play when KD's there. I feel like Kyrie kind of
think
doesn't want to play
he'll be
when
motivated.
Like, a situation like this. Like, I think he hated Boston. I don't think he wanted to play there. And I think this year he's like, oh, why am I even playing? He already called out the whole team besides like 3 guys. And I don't know how Garrett Temple was one of the guys he like protected. But anyway. But that was that was weird. But I think when KD's there, and KD's a very like aggressive, like he wants to win bad. I think he'd be like, dude, come on, like what are you doing right now? We're playing.
And like going into this, we all knew this year meant kind of nothing to them, to the Nets, to Kyrie. Like,
No, it was good for. It's like the Warriors. It's good for role
It's
players.
development.
They're gonna get to playoffs.
I would like to say that I think expectation for the Nets this season, while they weren't championship aspirations, they were higher than what they're going to finish. And obviously,
because who's considering Kyrie? Yeah,
Right.
they're probably gonna make the playoffs still.
Listen,
they're gonna make the playoffs.
They're like the 7 or
Yeah,
they're
they'll
around.
make
Yeah,
it.
well,
They're
it
not gonna
seems
do
like-
anything.
it seems
Maybe
like-
he'll play in the playoffs.
Listen,
or is he out for the year?
I think
he's
done.
out for the
I think
year.
he's ruled
I believe
out.
they said he's out for the year. The Nets and the Magic are not by any stretch of the imagination
Yeah, but
running away
they're
with
sitting
playoff
on
teams.
They're sitting on
But
KD.
they are, yeah.
They're comfortable.
I don't think they care. I don't
Right.
think the Nets care
So,
at all.
I don't think
their
that-
fans care.
I don't think the Nets fans care that much. I am anxious to see what the reaction from New York is going to be in general when Kevin Durant gets back. Because, listen, I'm a Knicks fan, so saying this is going to sound like bias, but this is a Knicks city. There's no question about it. The Knicks own this city, and I don't think anything less than at least a championship. It might even take 2.
I think the Nets being a top team in the league would like have the hype going for sure. You would see a lot of like net stuff around, like you would think. And because how could it not?
You
Having
think that's
KD
enough
and
though,
Kyrie.
based on what Frank's saying?
Yeah, I think if they're like a top team in the
that'll be
league, like playing like if they're in the conference finals and stuff, like
They
you hear
don't have-
about it on the radio.
They
you
don't
hear
have to
about-
win though. It could just be enough to be a top team.
Well, yeah, for next year. I mean, they're never going to take over the Knicks. Like, oh yeah, like going like the Knicks.
Well,
hype.
listen, I know a lot of Knicks fans, and every single one of us are all fed up. I would never dream about jumping, fan bases, but I'm me, and someone else is someone else. Could Kevin Durant, who was no question a top 3 player in the league for the last probably 10 seasons, right, sway a Knicks fan who is fed up with James Dolan, who is fed up?
I think they
with
could
the
because
Knicks?
I don't think Knicks fans hate the Nets. Like I don't think
There's not a real rivalry there.
not like-
I think that Knicks fans are starting to hate the Nets, right? Because they just swooped in and got the free agents that everyone that
The
I
plan
want to
was-
say that Knicks
But the
fans
thing
weren't
is with the
saying
Knicks,
it.
the Knicks are such a mess that you can't even hate the guy.
Well,
like
okay.
you can't get mad when
The
guys don't go to
well-known
Knicks.
plan was Kyrie, Kevin Durant, Zion.
Zion, right?
That was the well-known
But-
Knicks plan.
Okay, but now there's something to be said about Knicks fans and the reports that happen around the New York
Oh
Knicks.
yeah, everyone
because-
ever has been rumored to go to the Knicks, and no one ever goes.
That's partly on the media too. That's not all on the fans, and of course you're clutching onto anything when you've been in the basement as long as they have. But all right.
Yeah, we've been down here for a while. It's been like
But-
an hour and a half. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you can't blame any guy for not going to the Knicks. So that's why you can't get mad at like the Nets for getting KD and Kyrie. Like, why would they want to go to the Knicks? What's appetizing about a terrible owner that everyone doesn't like?
I mean, and some Knicks fans are seeing this as a blessing so far with the Kyrie, but like you said, Candy,
I mean, it's not a blessing.
I think when Kevin Durant comes back, he'll be much more
Yeah.
motivated. He's going to play through these small nagging injuries.
And if KD doesn't come back 100%, because there's always the Achilles tear. He's not old. He's not young.
No, but he's KD.
He's KD. So if he doesn't come back to that level that he was at, they don't have a chance, right?
No, but if he does, they're going to be probably the top team in the East. If they have Kyrie and KD and
They'll be right there.
Dinwiddie, they have good role
Mhm.
players. Jared Allen's really good.
Karis LeVert.
Karis
LeVert.
LeVert, like they have I think they would be honestly KD and
Joe Harris.
they could probably be better than the Bucks.
I don't hate that take at all.
Like
Um,
I'm just going over it now. I didn't even really think about this before, but like they're really good.
yes.
It's health.
Like they're
It's health, and they come back to form.
So I think we all agree that the Nets are, barring any setbacks from Kevin Durant, are going to be possibly even the team to beat in the Eastern Conference next year.
Yeah.
All right. So
if not, it would be because they haven't gelled yet. Like, can they start out slow? But I mean, when time playoffs rolls around next year, probably the team to beat.
So with that being said, we will wrap up all of the teams that that Chris did not want to talk about, and
Throw my government on here.
we will go to the top teams in the league, and we don't have to spend that long about these teams because we know what to expect from them already. I just want to hear if you think that they are pretenders or if they're contenders. I don't have to hear about if you think they're going to win or what round you think they're going to lose to. If you think that they have a legitimate chance to win the NBA Finals or at least get to the NBA Finals, especially with those Eastern Conference teams, I want to hear contender. And if you think that this team is overhyped and not what they are record-wise, pretender. All right? So we're going to start the Utah Jazz. I think that's a really interesting team. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, good core.
Justin Wright Foreman.
I actually love the Jazz. Like, I actually really like this team. I always enjoy watching them playing. They got Jordan Clarkson, another really nice role player. Mike Conley. Like, they should have a lot of talent on this team. They're fun to watch.
I love the Jazz, and I love the Jazz-Houston rivalry. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to see that matchup in the playoffs. Yeah. What were you saying? I feel like I kind of cut you off.
I think they have an actual chance of winning the championship. Like, actual. It's not going to be.
Right.
I know you're going to say LeBron. I understand that.
No. But all right, they have a chance, but they do have a chance. I'll say they're a contender because they do have a chance, and they're going to try to win. But the only thing is, the way they're going to be seeded, they're going to have to beat the Lakers and the Clippers, which is very hard. That's going to be very hard to do.
I get that.
And the back-to-back series, that's the only thing. Like, I know I'm jumping off topic, I'm going to whatever, but like I was watching one of the NBA shows, and it was just a good point. I remember Greg Anthony saying it, like, he could see one of the Lakers and Clippers getting knocked off, but not both of them.
Yeah,
which is, I agree. Like, I could see the Clippers losing in the conference semis, and then the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like,
I just think they have it all. They have the shooting, they have the defense. It's obviously not going to be easy. I'm sure if that was the scenario, they would both go 6 or 7 games.
Let me pull up the standings right now. Let's see what this. Let's go to the playoffs as of today.
I actually have them up.
I just think
so. Right now, the standings are: the Lakers are in first place, the Nuggets are in second, the Clippers are third, Rockets fourth, Jazz fifth.
That's tough.
Thunder
so they would have to beat the Rockets, then the Lakers, and then the Clippers. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It would end.
But they are a contender.
That's running the gauntlet.
They are a contender.
But out of all these like bottomish teams, where it's like they're not spoken about the same
at least
way.
Bottomish in the Western Conference.
They're not spoken about with these other teams, which I think they should be.
They're not. And I think that it's disrespectful to part them from the Rockets because I think at this point, they're talent-wise,
they're similar.
Rockets
for sure.
and the Jazz, they're pretty much the same talent-wise. The difference being James Harden can go off at any point in time and make the Rockets better than what they are.
No, I want to see that would be the most fun 4 or 5 matchup.
Oh, I think that's I would love to see that. There's a lot of matchups that.
But you got to remember, they're only a game out of the 3rd seed and 2 out of the 2. So I mean, it's the Nuggets, Clippers, Rockets, and Jazz.
Seems really important.
The playoff is not.
It is.
The playoffs are not.
You got to get a top 3 seed.
Yeah.
Because if you get the 4, you got to play a tough 5 team. If you got to get. Well, even the 3 seeds got to play OKC.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the West's playoffs can be so fun.
It's fun, right?
For the first time in a while, I could look at the playoffs and be like, wow, this is going to be a good time. You know exactly. You don't know who's going to win anything.
And that brings me to a point I want to make about the league in general this year. And that's that we as actual basketball fans, right? People that enjoy watching basketball, not just enjoy the hype machine that is LeBron James, even though we enjoy watching LeBron James play.
Oh, he's my favorite player.
But we enjoy basketball as the sport. Is this going to be the best year since the Big Three formed in Miami in terms of NBA playoffs? Because that's what it's setting up to be,
This is the first time that I remember really well. I've been a big college person forever. But I mean, like, I've probably started getting really big in the NBA, like, not recently, but probably, like, I don't know, not too long. Yeah,
right?
around there. I think, like, probably when, like, LeBron.
The Big Three.
LeBron in Cleveland. I always loved LeBron. But I mean, yeah, it's probably since, no, you know what? Boston, right? Like
the famous anything is
the
possible.
Boston
Kevin
Three.
Rondo, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce.
Yeah, so I get, but yeah, I guess since then, because I mean, before that, you didn't really know. You'd have like LeBron getting out there.
Because
like,
even then, Kobe would win those. Kobe won those championships, right, with Pau Gasol, right, and.
But I don't really remember those playoffs.
If I
so
call
I
a role player, but
no.
I mean, he was probably a little bit better than a role player, but he was not a superstar.
I don't remember those playoffs.
So this is a different for us millennials. This is a different journey that we're about to be taken on in the NBA playoffs. We've never witnessed anything like this. There have been heavy favorites in at least one of the
They're
conferences.
still going to be the heavy favorites, but it's going to be they're beatable.
No doubt that the Clippers and the Lakers are heavy favorites.
But they're beatable.
But there's no doubt you're looking at both of them saying that they can beat each other, which I don't think is something that we've had for a really long time.
And even like a team like, I don't know, like Memphis, like rolling into the Lakers, like I don't think they're going to beat them.
What if LeBron twists his ankle?
Yeah. But even if he's healthy, I don't think Memphis is rolling into that series and being like, oh, we have no chance. Like going against the Warriors, they would be like, oh yeah, they're not going to watch. Like I would watch Memphis Lakers.
It's a good point.
1 versus 8 seed. I would watch
That's
that.
a good point.
I'm not watching Memphis versus Golden State last year with KD, but I mean I'm watching that. Like, come on. And even like, what's the Clippers? Are they going to be the 2 or the 3? I don't know. The Nuggets might be the 2. The Clippers Dallas. Like that's
so.
We could lose.
Mark, you say contender, and Chris, you say
we're still on Utah. That's funny. We just put so up. Yeah, contender. They're contender.
You say contender. Okay. Next one. Very interesting team right now, especially because one of their 2 stars is in the news of an injury. We don't really know what the severity of the injury is yet. 76ers, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. Contenders or pretenders?
Pretenders.
I don't see them winning, but like they have a lot of talent, obviously, with Embiid and Simmons.
I love Joel.
Tobias Harris. I like them a lot too. I think they're fun to watch, but I don't think there's any chance they win.
I think that in today's NBA, it's really, really hard for big men to be the best player on the team. And I don't think Embiid is the best player on the team. I think it's Simmons. I think he makes the clock tick, if you get what I'm saying. I think he sets up the offense. Embiid, I'm not saying Embiid is a bad player. I'm saying that if Ben Simmons goes out, I don't think they have a prayer, right?
I mean, they're not winning anyway.
They're not winning. So they're pretenders.
Yeah, they're pretenders. We don't really have to talk about them that much.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying.
I can't really see them winning a series. Like, I mean, I could see them winning a series, but I can't see them winning, like, back-to-back, like, tough series. I don't think they're tough enough.
The Western Conference is all hard, but I think I know how Mark's going to answer this one. The Denver Nuggets, contenders or pretenders?
Pretenders.
Really?
I don't see them in the same light as these other teams, like being... They're not up there with the Clippers and the Lakers.
I thought you were going to say contenders.
I mean, they're more in the Rockets, Jazz tier of talent, and I just don't think they're going to win a series.
Okay.
You think they're going to lose?
Well, against LeBron.
Now,
really what, I think that's what we keep comparing it to.
Remember, the Nuggets at the current have the second best record in the Western Conference.
Yep.
I think they're very disrespected. I like the Nuggets. But yeah, I mean, I think they're going to go out there and beat the Clippers and the Lakers in back-to-back series? No. But I mean,
okay, so
you can't say they're not. They're
they're contenders for sure, but I don't see them beating one of these top teams.
We're also just conditioned to think that only 2 teams could win, so it's tough for us.
Well, I was going to say...
I fought hard for the Jazz.
I would say, now...
Yeah, but they're not going to do it either. I feel like they're the same team. The Nuggets and the Jazz, I feel like, are the same team. They have, like, they both have Jokic and Mitchell, who are, like, they're stars, but they're not the stars like LeBron, Kawhi, Paul George. They're not like that, but they're stars. And then they have a bunch of other good, solid role players around them. I love Gary Harris. I love Jamal Murray. Paul Millsap's a veteran. He's playing great. I mean, what did he get? Like, he has 23 points tonight. Good game, Paul. Yeah, I like I like Malone too. Great coach. They have a lot of depth. I mean, why not? They could.
Here's a scenario for you.
They have experience. Last year they took Portland to 7. Like they have playoff experience. They're not a new team.
Right. So here's a scenario for you guys. Lakers fall off a little bit. They just lose a little bit of games. Nuggets somehow capture the number 1 seed. It's probably not going to happen. The Lakers are up 5 games. I know that there's still a bunch to play, but the Lakers are the Lakers. Nuggets capture the 1 seed. Now they only would have to play one of the Clippers and the Lakers who finished 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, but
there's a realm of possibility.
They're 5 out.
Well,
they're
really
5 out in the
right.
NBA is a lot. That's a lot, man.
So
it's not the MLB where you're playing every day. Like it's 5 out. That's a lot of game. That's a lot of ground to make up, especially against a team like the Lakers, because the Lakers pretty much win every night. Like
so we're saying pretender. We think the Jazz. We think the
and LeBron's smart too. Like LeBron's like the load management stuff. Like it's 6 in the loss column. Like LeBron's not resting until they get the 1 seed.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing with the rest.
They're not. Yeah.
All right. So I think I'd agree with you guys where I think that the Nuggets are disrespected, but I'm about to disrespect them again and say that they are that they are somewhat pretenders, and I feel bad for doing it.
I would say that, but like this is the 2nd year in a row. Like they were sick last year too. So I mean,
I just can't see it. Watching a playoff.
I can't see it either. Like you could see the Jazz doing it.
I can.
No, you can't.
I can.
I do like the players on the Jazz a little bit more than the players in the Nuggets, but I think actually when you went over the rosters, I think I like the Nuggets roster better. I can't.
I would like to see them play in the playoffs.
I think
That'd be another.
That'd be a good series.
That 4-5,
whatever it is, the 4-5 is going to be good.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert could give Anthony Davis a hard time.
I'm sick of Rudy Gobert.
You could give him a hard time, you know?
Yeah,
that's funny. All right, let's go back to the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics. Contender or pretender?
That's a really good question.
I think this is probably one of the tougher ones of all of the teams that we're going to go over in terms of being literally.
Now, are we saying championship with all of these?
When I'm saying this, I'm saying, do you see that there's a realistic chance that they can at least make it to the NBA Finals? Because I think these are the top 10 teams in the league that we're currently going over and that we will eventually wind up touching. I think if any of the top 10 teams in the league got to the NBA championship, you can see them winning. You know what I mean? Like I could see
if they get there, they could win.
I could see the Celtics beating the Lakers in a 7-game series. I think that's a big rivalry. I think that the Celtics have a quality team. The Celtics have a all-around quality team.
I hate
Kemba, Jason Tatum.
I don't like them either.
I'll be rooting against them from the jump, but I mean they could. They're a contender.
I think that there are a lot more contenders in the Eastern Conference because of the fact that it'll be easier to get.
Easily.
Because of the fact that it's
You dislike them that much?
I don't like the Celtics. I hate Boston.
I also don't like the Celtics with the exception of Kemba Walker. I do like Kemba,
yeah.
You like Jason Tatum?
I
mean,
he's just such a typical Celtic. Honestly, he feels like Paul Pierce 2.0.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like
is that a bad thing?
Well, the thing is I don't think Paul Pierce. Well, yes, and I don't think Paul Pierce was as great as like Tim Duncan or even like Carmelo Anthony. But like he rode the coattails of. He rode a good team to a championship, and he played with the Celtics for so long. And if you play with the Celtics and you're good, you're always going to be valued above what you actually did. And I think Jason Tatum's the same way. I think he's currently being valued over what he currently is. And that kind of, to me, makes me dislike him a little bit. But I don't hate him yet.
No, I mean I don't like the Celtics.
Yeah, I don't love the Celtics.
But they're definitely contenders.
I think they're contenders, though. I think they're actually a very good, and I think they're very.
And they're in the East too. But I
mean,
what we were saying with like Denver and Utah, you throw them in the East, I probably would pick them too. So you know what I mean. Throw the Celtics in the West, I probably wouldn't say they're contenders.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. You say with a lot of teams though, like I like Toronto too.
Okay, I think this one's gonna be controversial. The small ball Rockets. How do we feel about the small ball Rockets?
It's working to this point. We're not in the playoffs yet, but you have to call a team with James Harden and Russell Westbrook a contender.
Contenders, yeah.
You have to.
I mean, they're another team that's going to have to go through the gauntlet. Like that's how it's got to be, though. So
Covington was a great ad. I think he fits their style of play really well.
And PJ Tucker's got to be like everyone's favorite player in the NBA, right? Like you can't not like PJ Tucker.
So every team in the Western Conference that isn't the Clippers and the Lakers would have to go through the Clippers and the Lakers.
Yeah, everyone's going to have to do it. That's what I mean, like we're saying.
Unless they, of course,
get the one
took over the number one spot, which the only team that has a prayer of doing that right now is the Denver Nuggets.
No, they're all,
they don't even really have a prayer of doing that.
No, they're all the same. They're all a game apart.
Are they all? Yeah. Are they all that close? All right. So
it's not close though. They're not close. They're all. It's pretty much the Lakers, and they're all bunched together.
Nuggets 38, Clippers 37, Rockets 36.
They're
Jazz
literally
36.
all the same.
I mean, I guess we need an injury there, right? In LA, we need a significant injury from LA, not LA, from AD or LeBron.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna be resting their guys. They're gonna get the whole team.
So, contenders or pretenders for the small ball Rockets, who I think are just a slight step ahead.
No, they're contenders.
They're contenders.
Yeah, they're contenders.
They're contenders. Mark?
Yep, I agree.
You watch, like for example, you get a playoff series of the conference semifinals. You get a Lakers-Rockets series. You're locked in. You're like, the Rockets could do this.
That's a ton of fun. That's a ton of fun. You're right. Just thinking about the possibilities in the Western Conference, there are going to be 4 good series in the first round, and it's not going to let up from there. We will head back to the Eastern Conference. Another controversial team, the Miami Heat.
Can't win on the road, right? Isn't that their problem? Let me check that.
The Miami Heat. I think this. I know the Sixers.
I saw someone say it on Twitter. I have no facts to back it up.
I like the Heat a lot.
I know the Sixers have that problem that they can't win on the road.
Oh yeah, they're 13-17 away, 23-3 at home. That's ugly. That is ugly.
So, contenders or pretenders? Mark, I'll let you go first.
I'll say contender.
Bam I like them a lot. I love Bam. I love the Heat, but like I have to say pretenders because they're 13-17 on the road. Like, that's tough.
But how much does that really matter in the regular season? It's not a good thing to have, but like you got to think, like in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler and the guys will be like, you know what, like let's turn it on. I get it. It's not a good thing to see, but it's regular season.
They're a young team too, though, so that could be an issue. If they were an older team, I wouldn't really take that much into it. But I like them. I think they could win, but I'm probably going to put a future bet in for them for 2 weeks. So hopefully they prove me wrong.
All right.
But you know what? I have to say they're contenders, actually, because said I was crapping on the Bucks earlier, so I got to have someone to beat.
Somebody's got to be. All right. So for the Heat, I think that they are pretenders. And the reason why is because I cannot see Jimmy Butler unless he's flanked by two other
You love that word, flanked.
Unless he's flanked.
I'm flanked by Chris and Mark right now.
Unless he's surrounded by two other players of the caliber of Jimmy Butler being the best player on a team that wins an NBA championship. And that's not a knock on Jimmy Butler. I just think there are tiers to the NBA, and he's not in that first tier. He's a second tier guy. He can't do it without a guy who's at least as good as him. That's what I would say a second tier guy is. A second tier guy is someone who can't do it without a guy who is at least as good as himself, if not maybe even better. Not a Robin, but not Batman by himself.
I just think they're like a really good team. Like they just distribute the ball so well. Everyone gets their touches. Everyone gets their shots up. But I see what you're saying, where at the end of the game, it's probably Jimmy Butler's shot, and I don't know how you feel about that.
It's funny because the East playoffs are going to be good, but it's not. It's like in a different
not the first
context
round, but
of
the
West.
The second few rounds.
Yeah, but it's going to be a different context of the West because like the West is going to be like such like better basketball. Like the East is like you know what I mean. Like the West, I'm going to be like pumped up to watch. Like the East, I'm going to be like, oh, it should be a good series. I'll watch Game 7. But like I don't know. I just don't really care about like the Heat against the Bucks. Like I'm not going to lock into that because like. I feel bad. I just rip on the Bucks, but they just kind of bore me. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
So for these last four teams, we're gonna do the same thing: contenders and pretenders. But these ones, I just want to hear if you think that they can win an NBA championship, because I think for these four, they're pretty likely to get back to the conference finals or possibly get into the finals. Obviously, only two teams can make the finals, but I think for these four, these are the favorites of both conference to get there. So I only want to hear if you think they are contenders for an NBA championship, okay? And we will start in the West with the Clippers.
I feel like the four of these just feel obvious to me.
They're all contenders.
At this point where Chris can, I think it's time you just rant about the Bucks. But besides that, these teams are all in.
I actually want to get.
I think the Clippers are my favorite. The Clippers are my team to win. I think.
I think a lot of people like LeBron James.
I'm taking
Davis
Lakers.
And the Lakers.
Yeah.
But I think that and. I know I mentioned this a few weeks ago. At one point in time, I don't know if it's true anymore because Morris has been on the team a little bit longer. If the Raptors wanted to, they could throw out a lineup that looks
Clippers.
I'm sorry, excuse me. If the Clippers wanted to, they could throw out a team right now that looked like Lou Will, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Morris, and Montrezl Harrell. And at the trade deadline, all five of those men were averaging 19 points per game.
They're so deep.
Has
they
a lineup
Reggie
like
Jackson
Reggie Jackson that we're not even talking about him.
Montrezl Harrell,
Pat Beverly,
Pat Bev. It's just so deep.
That to me though, that they can throw out literally a person at every position that averaged almost 20 points per game at some point in time in this season, like late into the season, that is special to me. I don't think I've ever seen that kind of scoring, and they do it in different ways too.
And they got Doc too.
They can do it by ISO. They could do it passing. You know what I mean? Great coach. That's a great point. Yeah, I think that they are a really, really good team, and I think that they're kind of holding back too because Kawhi does
without a doubt
load management. Back. Paul George is injury prone a little bit, so I think that they're holding back a little bit.
Which is tough to hold back though because it's going to set you up for a tough playoff run.
So are we setting up? We think for an inevitable Lakers-Clippers Western Conference Finals?
No, I can't even say that because one of them could easily lose in the semifinals.
So it's not a guarantee.
So it's not a guarantee.
I think we've been kind of.
I think they're the two best teams. I think they're the two best teams, but I mean, like, I can't sit here and say they're both going to get to the conference finals because I can't say it. Like, you agree, right? Like,
I agree. Yeah.
Like they can lose.
Would I be shocked if the Clippers dropped out the first round because of cohesion issues or maybe someone got hurt?
No, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, it's going to be tough. You're not just going to run through
I would be
the
surprised if the Clippers didn't make it past the first round.
Whoever they played. I mean, Dallas and OKC are bad.
That's true.
But they should beat them.
Okay. I think the most interesting team on this entire list, the Toronto Raptors. I think there are so many good things to be said about the Toronto Raptors in terms of what they're doing this season.
Great organization.
They lost a great player. They lost a generational type player. And we know that they've missed a beat, but they haven't shown that they've missed that beat yet. You know what I mean? I think we'll eventually see it when they go up against one of the heavy hitters in the Eastern Conference. But as of right now, we haven't seen anything that suggests that the Toronto Raptors can't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe even pull out a win. Candy keeps telling us about how bad the Bucks are.
No, I'm not.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking around. But,
you have to tip the cap what they've been able to do with Kawhi gone. Obviously, Siakam has stepped up and became one of the top players in the league. Kyle Lowry, Ibaka, they're a really good team unit, but I don't see any chance of them repeating, me personally.
I'm not going to win a title, but I mean, I could see them going to the title.
Nick Nurse, best head coach in the league right now?
Yeah, I guess.
He might be up there, right?
I don't.
Okay. Last team in the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think there's anything to be
No,
said. It's LeBron James, right?
It's
that's
LeBron,
all we have to say,
AD,
right?
I think they're the favorites to win it all.
I
they're the
can't
favorite.
knock you for saying
Yeah,
that. I think
legitimately.
general consensus is most people agree with Mark.
Vegas odds is probably
Yeah, they're
Lakers.
definitely the favorite. I mean, the only thing that scares me with them is their depth. Like the Clippers have a team that have a lot more depth.
They
than
have
do.
guys.
But I mean, it's LeBron James. I'm not betting it's LeBron James.
Yeah.
They do have guys, but I mean, like.
They have bigs, they have shooters, and
I
they have
think-
the 2 stars.
I agree with what you're saying. I think the Clippers have considerably better depth, but I like LeBron James and Anthony Davis more than I like Kawhi Leonard and Chris,
same. Yeah,
Chris Paul, geez. And
Paul
Kawhi
George.
Leonard and Paul George, thank you.
without a doubt.
So it's going to be really interesting because it's going to be a clash of superstars if they do eventually wind up playing. And I think that if they do get that series, I hope it goes 7, and I hope
We kind of need that.
I hope it's everything that we hope it is.
Same arena.
And yeah, same arena. So everyone's going to be fresh.
That
Nobody's
would
going to be
be a lot of
traveling for
fun.
7 games. Yeah,
I mean, the Lakers pretty much get 7 home games,
yeah.
which is a
No.
big advantage.
Clippers fans are going to show out for that. I think
All right,
that Clippers
are they-
fans are going to show out.
I don't live in LA. Is
I
there
bet-
such thing as Clippers fans?
I bet season tickets went through the roof for the Clippers home teams. Obviously, season ticket holders always get advantage on. I think that. Well, I think that the arena is going to be better for Laker home games. I don't think that it's going to be more Lakers than Clippers fans come that playoff time. If the Clippers are drawing like they should do as a team in LA.
It's gonna be interesting,
Yeah.
because we've actually never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Playoff series with 2
I'm-
heavyweights in the same arena. Never
I
seen
like
anything like that.
I like a
I want a
lot
great
of-
playoffs in the West, but I want that to happen.
I was just about to say, I like a lot of the teams in the Western Conference, and I don't necessarily love the Clippers or the Lakers in terms of, like, players on the team. Like, I'd rather see the other 3 teams that we talk about win the championship. I love underdogs. I love that story, and I think that they technically would be an underdog, even though we discussed how they're not really that much of an underdog. I would like to see them win more. But I would also love to see this playoff series. I can't see anybody who likes basketball who wouldn't want to see this playoff series.
No.
All right, Chris, I made you wait a really, really long time, but go ahead. You can rant about the Bucks now.
I don't
Why
know.
are
I
they-
mean, I just can't picture them winning. I don't know if that's just do I watch the Bucks a lot? No, I don't. So I mean,
You're very passionate about this.
I just don't see them winning the title. I just
Can
like
I
you
ask
said,
you a question?
Middleton and Giannis. I love Giannis, but I mean, I just can't see it.
Is Giannis Antetokounmpo the best player in the NBA right now?
Now LeBron is.
Mark?
Push comes to shove when you're playing Lakers versus. No, if it's a championship game 7, you want LeBron on your team.
Are the Bucks as good with LeBron James?
Yes.
I don't know.
Maybe not in the regular season because he's going to take more time.
Well, that's
off,
what I'm saying.
But in the playoffs,
The
yes.
Bucks have only lost 8 games this season. The Knicks
I don't-
lost 8 games the first week of the season.
I don't want to be disrespectful to LeBron, but I'd probably say Giannis is better at this point.
I don't know about that.
I think
give me
LeBron
man.
is. I think Giannis is starting to reach his physical peak,
In
I
winning
don't think
time,
we've
give me
seen.
LeBron.
I understand what you're saying. Maybe for like a last shot type of thing.
If I need to win a game, give me LeBron James.
I just think that if they were to go 1-on-1 and actually have to guard each other, I think I'm giving the edge to Giannis.
Yeah, but that's obviously he's younger, but I mean, all right, back to the Bucks in general though. I don't know, Chris Middleton.
Middleton is your second. I agree with that point though. I agree with what you're saying.
Eric Bledsoe, he's all right.
Brooke Lopez is.
I think
Brooke Lopez is a cold-blooded killer from 3-point.
they're in
Nah.
the East in the right time.
He's not a bad shooter.
He's not.
He's really
They
transformed.
are. They're in the East at the right time. I don't think there's any question about it. I think we've seen more talented rosters not
I feel like they're more of a regular season team.
win. I can also see that too. I think we're gonna have to see how they translate to the postseason. But listen, there is no question Giannis is great, and there's no question that Giannis wants to win. If he,
You know what it is too? Them just not getting to the finals last year has left a bad taste in my mouth. That was
listen, Kawhi Leonard is also one of the best players in the league, and we're seeing what the Raptors are doing without Kawhi Leonard. So you add Kawhi Leonard to that Raptors team, that's a really, really good team.
yeah. No,
So
I don't know.
I get it. So that's basically it. We've basically gone over all the teams now. I just want to do a quick little wrap up. Award races, Rookie of the Year. Who you got?
Ja.
Ja, for sure.
No chance Zion takes it.
It wouldn't be fair.
Frank, you were telling me you think Zion has a shot.
I do.
I think he's a shot because he's Zion.
And I want to tell you why.
Because
Because I think if there's a rookie that averages like 25 points per game and grabs the rebounds that Zion's going to probably get 9 or 10 rebounds a game, and he does it over 60 games, and the other guy you're choosing between giving it to is John Moran, who's averaging 17.
You got to remember, though, Josh might make the playoffs, too.
That's a good point. But also the Pelicans could
They could get it. I hope
sneak in.
But, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I think if Zion stays healthy the rest of the season and he gets up to something like the 25 point per game mark and he's grabbing 10 rebounds, and then John Morant is averaging 17 and 9, I think, or 17 and 8 that he's averaging right now. To me, he didn't miss the entire season. You know what I mean? I think they want to give it to Zion Williamson because they want a new star to be born.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Zion winning the Rookie of the Year, but he's got to play phenomenally the rest.
And if he were to get it, it would be everyone would be pissed too. Kind of be like,
yeah,
for sure.
I could see that. The Sixth Man of the Year. Has anyone even given this thought? Do you even know off the top of your head?
I have no idea.
Lou Will.
Lou Will, right?
You save every
Gun to
year.
my head, Lou Will.
Lou
Jamal
Will.
Crawford's not in the league, so Lou Will.
Most improved.
I don't know, man.
Siakam already won most improved.
Yeah.
Might
So
win it again.
is that possible? If it is, then
Probably
sure.
not.
He might win it.
Most improved player.
Would they give it to a player like Luka Doncic?
Dylan Brooks?
Dylan Brooks? You know who I was thinking?
Is there a comeback player in basketball? It'd probably be him if it was comeback.
Lonzo?
I think Carmelo would be the comeback
Carmelo.
player of the year. But I was going to say, for most improved player, I think I have Lonzo Ball winning because I think he's taken such a step since he's gotten back from that injury in like December.
Yeah,
I think I could definitely see Lonzo Ball winning the most improved player. Well on his way to stardom. Coach of the year?
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse.
Yeah. MVP.
Giannis.
Yeah, I guess Giannis. They're 43. What are they? 43 and 8.
Really good. They're
Yeah.
they're really good.
I guess Giannis.
They don't have double digit losses.
Who else would
yet.
get it? I mean, isn't Harden averaging 40 a game or something like that?
I think Luka is up there for
They're
sure.
in 7th place. He's not
They're
gonna
in
get it.
7th place. Harden's there. He's always there.
It's like my fantasy baseball rant today about 4th place. Yeah, I think
Another time.
I think Giannis probably, right?
He's getting 30, 14, and 6
Yeah, he's winning MVP.
on the 30, 14, and 6 on the 48
Alright.
on the 48 game box.
So next question. Is Giannis the unanimous MVP after hearing that?
Yes.
Good chance.
Alright. So it would be the second ever unanimous MVP if that were the case. But yeah, I think Giannis ultimately does win. Obviously, we can't predict the lottery. If you had to take a guess, just a fun guess, who's going to win the lottery and who should they take if they do?
Golden State, everything cracks right for them.
And who should they take?
Wiseman.
We know the Knicks won't win the lottery, but I just want LaMelo Ball and the Knicks.
LaMelo Ball to the Knicks. I'm going to say that the Cavaliers, and I'm going to say that they take a point guard for the third straight year, and they take Anthony Edwards.
All right.
He's not a point guard.
Never mind.
What
position does he play?
He's a shooting guard.
You know what? That's not fair.
He's a guard. It's
He's
fine.
not a guard. He's a guard. I think the Cavaliers do take Anthony Edwards because of the scoring ability, is what I was alluding to. I was actually going to say that they could put him at the other guard anyway. So,
Yeah.
Last question. Who's going to win it all?
Clippers.
Lakers.
I'll take the Bucks.
Wow.
I'll take the Bucks.
Frank takes the Bucks despite Candy.
I like Giannis a lot. All right. So that was our NBA second half preview / pre-draft. Anything you want to call it. We went over every team. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time on the Fastballs Sports Network.